Hey guys, I want to welcome you today, this afternoon. I know it's been a little while since I've actually had a webinar with a guest on. I know I do a lot of them myself, but I'm blessed and honored to have. I met Gregory Wright in one of my training classes on how to raise private money, and Greg has just been knocking the leather off the ball in the industry. He's been in the industry over 10 years, but really over the last 7 years has built a nice portfolio of about 40 doors, short-term rentals. He's also learned a lot. What I love about Greg and why I asked him to be on is because I have a lot of students out there that I work with, a lot of people I spoke at events, and I sit back and I watch what happens because I take a big interest in what people do after I teach them on how to raise money. And Greg has been, persistent about doing things the right way, raising money the right way, not just raising money, but actually taking care of his investors before he takes care of himself. And I sit back and I watch what he's doing, and he's amassed like 40 rooms currently rented in short terms. And he's going to talk about that. I'm not going to take the thunder away from him. Greg is a local guy out of the Philadelphia area. And I appreciate you being on today, Greg. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's like I said, it's my pleasure. It's easy for me to get on there and tell people how to do things and teach them how to do things. But the problem is with me doing this 29 years and a couple thousand transactions, people don't think that they can get to that. And I love having people on here that have, we're going to talk about how you got started because I know it wasn't easy for you, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us real quick in a little synopsis and we'll dig deeper, and we're going to show people, like I promised them, we're going to show them how to do exactly what you do. And like I said, I only want to do this webinar if we're open book, and you're kind enough and willing enough to open your book. You have the mindset. You're not scared you don't worry about competition. You have that great mindset, and you don't have the scarcity factor where you're willing to show people, hey, this is how I find my cash buyers. Hey, we talked about it. This is exactly how I find my lenders. It's a lot of what I do, but coming from you as a student in the business and somebody who's amassed a decent amount. 40 rooms currently rented, and I know you got like another 20 in different phases right now. We'll talk about that. But tell me a little bit about you and where you came from, how you got started in real estate, and then we'll dig into like some of the problems and how you do the business.
So, thanks, Dan. I really appreciate you having me on here. I've appreciated going to your class, learning exactly what it took in your case to go to another level. I love what I do though. I couldn't do something else. I found what I'm passionate about and enjoy doing on a daily basis, which I think is the whole point of what we do, being able to provide for our families and being able to really be in our purpose, and getting things done. So yeah, long story short, I'm from the Philadelphia area. Went to school, went to college in New York, got a degree in civil engineering, worked in a cubicle, absolutely hated it, did not like being micromanaged and being stuck in this little box and feeling like looking out the window every day and not really being able to enjoy what I was doing. And I think the turnaround point was one day, my boss, like the head of our division, came over and he was like, one day you'll be able to make $100,000 in like 10 years or something. Like it was some crazy number. And I'm like 25 at the time. And, great guy, but just like, I didn't want to wait 10 years to make $100,000. Like it didn't make sense to me that I would just be there doing that. And so when I heard that, I really just went hardcore into real estate, and I was doing all types of deals, lease options, taking over mortgages, subject to any type of deal I could do, that I knew I was like, I just know, like, I have to find what it is I need to do. And then, I went to a talk, through, I think, Hapco or Dig or something.
Oh, okay.
And they were talking about renting rooms, and I tried it on something I did a lease option on, which gave me minimal risk with a high level of reward. And then I started cash flowing, and I just took it from there. Just kept finding other deals that would meet the criteria, 2 or 3 unit buildings with 2 or 3 rooms in them per unit. And then I just would rent them out. I go in,
wow,
fix them up, furnish them, and then advertise. And then I just got to be known. Most of my properties, a good percentage of my properties are on 56th Street. So I happened to be known in my area. So whenever anything came up for sale, or people were looking for rooms, or they were looking to find rentals, I would just get a phone call, which made my life a whole lot easier as far as branding and market awareness for what I was doing.
That's great. So you were doing short-term rentals before short-term rentals were popular.
Yeah, I wasn't doing what Airbnb is doing, and I have some good friends that do Airbnbs, and we're going to be doing a project we're doing right now. It's going to be one room is Airbnb, 2 rooms are Airbnb, and 1 room is just a short-term rental, which is 6-month lease. The person stays there. I don't want to be trying to integrate them into taking care of the property, so I don't have to be paying as much for housekeeping and stuff like that. And then doing it. But yeah, I saw the emergence of Airbnb, and I love it. I love the fact that you can stay somewhere and it's not your house, and you can live there. You can live there short term, because there's guys like doctors and people who come in as consultants for businesses, and they rent for 3 months or 2 months, and they stay there. And there are people who just want to visit for a couple days to a week or so.
So who's your target market on these short-term, room rentals? What do you?
Oh, I mean, we look for people who, I have nurses, I have people who work for SEPTA, I have people who are cooks. I'm just kind of going through in my head, steel workers, like just regular everyday people who have enough. They make usually between $1,200 and $2,400 a month. I have a funeral director, makes good money. He just wants to rent a room. You know what I mean? These people come from all walks of life. Like, I don't try to judge anyone. I just want to make sure they're going to be the right fit for the rest of the household. Like, that's been my gift, is making sure they fit in with everybody else, so there's no real big issues in the house,
Well, let me ask you this. We have a lot of people who are listening. They're going to be listening, if not now, later, or they're going to be getting this email on the video. And yeah, I know you're in the Philadelphia area. You mentioned 56th Street that you're in. It's probably around Temple University or something like that. I'm not even sure of the area, but people around different parts of the United States or the world. What if you were to do this somewhere else? If they picked up Gregory Wright and said, "I'm going to drop you in another part of this United States," what would you look for in an area? Because not that you know exactly what it is, and we talk a lot about training about. We've talked about emerging markets, right? That's a lot of how we raise money, and a lot why you're so good at raising money. So if you were to be dropped, if I picked you up and just dropped you in another part of the world, what would you actually look for in the market to do these room rentals?
Yes, so it's not near Temple. We're actually closer to University City.
Okay.
So it's very similar, because you got University City, Temple, LaSalle, Drexel, University of Sciences. So Philadelphia's a big college area, not to mention like just how many people live in Philadelphia, as well as the people who are moving down from New York, who have seen that it is better. I mean, for what you could buy here versus buy in New York is like night and day. You know what I mean? Like it's just not as expensive as living in New York. And I lived in Brooklyn for about 5. You lived in Brooklyn for 4 years. I lived in Yonkers for 2 years. So I lived in New York. I know what it's like to live in New York, and I know what it's like to live in Philadelphia. But you asked me a question that I've literally asked myself this question a million times. What would it be like for me to start from scratch, to drop myself anywhere in the world and start from scratch? And what would I do, right? So one of the things that it comes down to is just figuring out what areas people want to live in and frequent. And if I was anywhere in the world, one of the first things I would do is just go rent a bike and just bike around and see what's going on in the area. If I didn't have the internet or my phone or anything, and all I had was my feet, I would just go get on my feet, walk around, or get a bike and ride around and see how these different areas vary, right? And there's always like this highly affluent area, and there's always like the area you don't want to go to, like, you know what I mean? No matter where you go. But then there's always this where, 60% of people live are those blue collar, blue to white collar, almost emerging on areas where people live at, raise their kids at, and it's like not the best neighborhood, but it's not a bad neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yep.
where you can feel comfortable living and raising your kids and playing ball, and it's just is what it is. So I just been able to know what that looks like anywhere I go. Even when I travel, I still like to drive around and look and see, oh, people live here. Oh, okay, this is what's going on here. Oh, they're putting a Wendy's here, or they put a supermarket here, or they put a bank here, and all these different things, or the hospitals here, all these different things, which is stuff I actually learned from you, Dan, was just trying to, when you're looking at these areas, what makes it this area attractive to people?
Right.
If you, like you said, if you were in California and you were like, well, why would I want to invest in Philadelphia? Well, I need to be able to tell you about what's going on in the different areas, how they're developing it, why people are living here. Is it easier for the doctors and nurses? Is the commute time easy? I had one guy, he called me and he just was like, he just wanted to be 10 minutes walk to the L because his job was right off the L. It was in another part of the city, but it was right off of our transportation network, our train that runs through the city, and that's all he wanted. So as long as you meet those kind of criteria, I try to be like two transportation modes, like a train and a bus and a bus, a trolley and a bus, just to where they need to go. The closer I can be to one of the major transportation hubs, then the happier I'm going to be about doing the deal, because I know I'm not going to have problems with someone getting off the transportation they're on and walking, 5 to 10 minutes to their house.
Right. And what's going to be nice is when I talk about emerging markets, I'm like, it's not centric on one particular company. Like back in the day when all the automakers left Michigan, they got destroyed. When the dot-com bubble happened in the late 1990s to 2000s, Silicon Valley got destroyed. So those are the industries where, they have one military base, and that's what they, even in Delaware, they have Dover. Now, Dover Air Force Base probably won't close down, but it's been talked about in the past. If Dover Air Force Base closes down, there's not enough jobs to really support a good rental economy out there. So I think what you're doing is really good because you've put together a nice emerging market. And just from listening to you now, and I haven't even seen a presentation today, but I think just from listening to you now, it makes it very easy for you to actually pitch your deal to investors that want to fund your deals, because they know, hey, very great, you have somebody renting a room, but if they leave, it should be real quick to get somebody in there, because the type of companies and the education is big, because those don't close down very easy, right? So you've mentioned Drexel, you've mentioned Temple, you've mentioned, I forgot, you mentioned something else, that you have the hospitals, you have nurses, you have doctors, you have so much going on over there in University City that you're in a great emerging market, right? So for you, how has that helped you with raising money?
So yeah, if you're talking about people who live in the Philadelphia area or invest in the Philadelphia area, they're knowledgeable about what is going on in Philadelphia. A lot of construction going on, a lot of projects going up, a lot of people influxing into the city. I've seen a lot more people driving Uber and Lyft and moving down here instead of, with New York tags coming down from New York, but they're wanting to stay in the city now too. So yeah, all these things play into what exactly the interest comes into it, because people want to make sure they're going to get paid back, right? They want to make sure that if they lend you money, that the money is secure, the asset is secure, the valuations are there, and they're going to be paid back, whether they're paid back with their interest monthly and that their principal is secure. That the properties that you're buying aren't just inflated. Now, I come from a place where we still try to buy stuff at 30, 40 cents on the dollar and be all in at 65 to 70% of the ARV. I don't like to be all in at 85 or 90%. I don't want to be like, because I don't flip anything. Like I flip here and there and I help people flip, but I really don't like to flip. I like to buy and hold on and cash flow. I'm a cash flow investor. That's who I am,
That's what I love about you.
So,
I love about you. And more importantly is that you're a servant to the investors you work with. And I say that, and it means that you take care of their money. Even if the market shifts, that you're always going to be okay if you're in at 70% or better. Yeah. Now, the way you've been raising money, I'm sure you can go out there and raise 100% of the value, and an investor wouldn't even question you, but you're just smart enough to know that, hey, I'm going to take care of my investor first. And that's why you have no problem raising money out there. which is so important for your business. Now, let me ask this question. I want to jump on your screen because I promised people, hey, we'll go on your screen. You're going to show them exactly what you do a little bit. But you got these rooms, you rent these rooms out now. Are you renting, so in a 3-bedroom house, are you renting 3 bedrooms to 3 separate families or people?
No, so what ends up happening is these are single occupancy only. And what happens with something like that, we look for stuff that we can either get rezoned or by right can change the zoning on it. That's just for Philadelphia. If you're in Florida or Texas, it might be different. I don't know how it is technically down there. I know how it is, but I don't know how we will go in and do it. I know what we do here in Philadelphia and how I do things here in Philadelphia for the deals I do. So I look for people who are looking they're by themselves, usually have rented a room in the past, they know the area, they know where they want to be at. They just going to work and they're coming home and they want to be able to watch football during football season. They want to just be having in a clean, comfortable living situation. You know what I mean? So it's not that I'm looking for a guy and his wife and 2 kids to move into a room. I don't think that will work too well, you know what I mean, for what we do.
So what about the management issues with people living together? Who's handling that? Like, how are you dealing with these people? I mean, you have 3 rooms, you have 3 people living in different rooms. Yeah. I'm sure you've had some issues come up. How are you dealing with that?
Well, I think so. These people are unrelated. So, the way Philadelphia works, they allow you to have 3 unrelated people on one lease in any area. And what happens is that they actually create their own kind of rules of how they want to live. And I'm kind of like, I guess, the big cheese or the final say on something. So you really don't want to come to me. If something gets escalated to the point where I have to deal with it, it's not going to be a good thing. You know what I mean? They want to deal with it on their own and then self-regulate. So we have issues. I have issues. I wouldn't say every day, but I would say at least for any property once a week, maybe. And then where once there's a new person, it's like it might go to maybe once a week, and then every 2 or 3 weeks, and then once every 3 months. It just kind of tapers down to and they know that if it doesn't taper down, then you're just gonna have to move. I'm gonna ask you to leave. You're gonna have to go somewhere. It's not anything personal. It's just you might not be the right fit for the people who've been there. Because most of my tenants don't leave. They've been with me for a while. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what we do this, I think it's so important, and I love that you're doing this, and you really have a niche that a lot of people aren't doing. I mean, honestly, I've never done single room occupancies. They call them SROs for anyone out there that's looking. And Gregory, man, you've really, there's a lot more than this than just getting a house, fixing and renting it. There's a lot of management involved. There's psychological issues involved, and you have to be their psychologist. You have to be their babysitter. You have to be their mom, their dad, their brother, their sister, their best friend. And then you're doing a good job to have 40 properties, 40 rooms already, and another 20 in effect. Guys, just so you know, we're going to jump to his, I'm going to jump over to his screen. He's going to show us some stuff. But if you have any questions, post them here while Gregory's on, because he's very busy. Obviously, I'm very busy. And I'm sure he'll even answer them to you afterwards. But if you post them on here, and Gregory's tagged on this, he'll see it, and Greg will be able to answer those questions you have, because that's why we do this, guys. I have a lot of people in my network. A lot of people are doing different things, some great, some not so great. But if I put somebody on here, I hope you understand how much it means that I'm putting somebody on here, because I think enough of them that they're an expert in their field, or they're doing things right. And I want you to kind of follow what they're doing. And, Gregory's out there. And when you first started, let me ask you this, how hard was it for you to get money out there from people?
So when I first started, I bought a no money down home course. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was Carlton Sheets. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it's Carlton Sheets. I bought Carlton Sheets, no money down.
We all might have started with him, or Russ Whitney, or Robert Graham, or we've all started somewhere, right?
Yeah. So he's like, I was listening to CDs and workbooks, and his mindset was like, which is important. The biggest part about this is like your mindset, right? So your mind has to be like, money isn't the issue. You are really the only issue that you have to overcome. So if you believe that you're supposed to own 100 or 200 unit apartment building, don't worry about the money too much. Worry about making sure the deal is the right deal. It's going to make money for the investors. It's going to make money for you. You're going to be able to pay your property management. You're going to be able to pay for all the things that come with doing the deal, and that your profit and loss statement is going to be balanced, and that everything's going to work out the way it needs to work out. So when you have that kind of mind set, you say to yourself, okay, I'm gonna just go look for deals, and I'm gonna look for money. Like, you should be looking for both of them at the same time, right? So I would always be looking at deals, and I always came from the point of view of like finding out what the person needed, from why they were looking to sell the property. Why are they looking to get off it, And then not trying to meet that need with money, but trying to meet that need just in general. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're getting older. Maybe they want to move. It could be a million reasons, right? And then not all those reasons money solves. Like, money's not always the answer. So that made it a lot easier for me to just put the deal together. And then once the deal was together and I was able to explain it to someone else, it would be a lot easier. Now, don't think you're not going to knock on a bunch of doors, right? So my family, my friends always contact me with real estate. Hey, can you help me with this? I'm trying to do this, or I'm thinking about doing this, and I'm cool with that. And I talk to them. I'll always let people know if they have, like, if they leave their job, right? If you know someone that moved from one job to the next, you want to make sure they roll that IRA, or they want to roll that whatever it was into a self-directed IRA, and you want to make sure they can have control over their investment. You don't want to just leave it with someone that all they care about is the fees. I would rather my friends let me borrow the money and me do a deal, and I know I'm going to have their back. Like, I got to see them and talk to them on the phone and, just be there for them. But your broker, think about how many times a year you probably talk to your broker. He's not your friend, like you grew up with him. Sometimes they are, but most times they're like just some guy, and it's like, he's got some he's got some different funds that he's like, oh, put your money here, and then 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you'll have this or whatever else like that. Versus when with me, I want to sit down with my friends and family and say, like, what is your goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like,
that's also the thing in this business, right? And I'm not here to bash brokers. One of my best friends is a CFP, certified financial planner. But I can tell you this, he's got about the investing knowledge of the computer screen right here. He's basically a robot. They're robotic. They're selling what the bank or the company tells them to sell. And if you ask them to see their portfolio, I'm not going to say all the time, but most of the time, and I don't want to bash them at all because I have friends that are, but let's be honest, most of the time, they don't have a portfolio worth anything. I mean, they just don't. At least us in this business, right? Here's what you said, you teach them about self-directed IRAs. Like, one of the things I tell people when I teach this all the time when I do my raising private money training is become the expert, right? Really become the expert on self-directed IRAs, solo 401ks, covered L accounts, health savings accounts. Really become the expert, because when you start talking to people and you teach people and you educate them, how do you pay your kids? And then how do you pay your kids and help them get involved? First of all, they learn responsibility. They're able to invest in real estate. You don't have to worry about student loans in the future if you do it right. Now you're the expert. Now certified financial planners cannot do this. They can't teach you this. They're like, if you want to invest, you can self-direct your IRA in real estate. No, you can be in a real estate fund. So because you educate them, you become the expert. By becoming the expert, they're coming to you and saying, Greg, can you help me out, invest my money? So that's so important that you do that. And you're in a situation, kind of like I say it all the time, I have a decent amount of friends and some family that invest with me, but not all my friends and not all my family actually do it, because I don't force them to do it. I don't even bring it up to them. They know what I do. If they want to get involved, they call me. I'll help them out as much as I could. But it kills me that I'm out there and I have a bunch of investors that invest in my deals, as you do, and you're probably making them a nice return, better than average returns that they get from a bank. And you're not able to do this for all your friends and family because they're not involved. It kind of kills me that all my friends and family are not taken care of first, but I'm also not the salesy type person. I don't force them to do it. But it's funny because a lot of my friends and family, they complain about money, they complain about retirement, they complain about taxes, they complain about Social Security, they complain about healthcare, they complain about the president, they complain about everything, but they don't do anything for themselves. So I think you're on the right track. Just keep preaching what you know, become the expert, teach people how to pay their kids, teach people how to let the kids take control of their own college if that's what they choose to do. Teach people how to control their own retirement so they don't have to count on the government and Social Security. And I hear people saying, "No, I have to work till I'm 65 because otherwise I don't get Medicare." And that's just so sad. That's just so sad out there but they'll listen to their financial advisor, right? Tell them to put all their money into this fund. Why? Or they'll put it in an annuity because the annuity pays them a huge return. But is that annuity? Think about it. I went through this, and now we're getting off course a little bit, but it's so important because when you could really sit down with somebody, you could ask them questions about their investments. I do it like this. I said, and I think I did this maybe in a class you were in because I do this in a lot of classes. I said, let me ask you this: where do you invest your money? What are you investing in? And they'll give me this: Charles Schwab, Fidelity, TIA, a number of places, whatever it is. I'm like, okay, that's not an investment, but what are they investing in? Well, I don't know. It's a mutual fund. Okay, cool. What's the mutual fund? Well, it's a 30-year cycle, retirement in 30 years. So it's a funnel, right? It starts up here. Everyone's in, all these companies. Then it kind of goes down. I'm in a mutual fund. Then I'm in a 30-year cycle. Great. What are they investing in? Usually the conversation ends there. Usually. Okay. Once it gets to that point, the people that do funnel through and they know what they're invested in, which actual mutual funds or stocks they're invested in, then I start asking questions. What's the profit and earnings? What's the P&E ratio? Is it paying dividends? And I ask them this question. I've never once, and I must have asked it 1,000 times, more than 1,000 times already. I said, what's your commission? What's the commissions you're paying? Yeah. I can tell you this. I've never got one answer. Yeah. They give me a range. I don't know. I'm paying 2%. I'm paying 1.5%. I'm paying 3%. I've never had one person. And I cannot believe that somebody would invest with a financial advisor and not know the commissions. Yeah. I've asked financial advisors on the phone when I've done a conference call with my clients, what commissions you're paying? They're like, I'll have to look into that. They don't even know. So think about this. I go I said, so the average the average is about 2 to 3% out there, right? Some of your local banks will charge about 1%. So 2 to 3%, right? Then the cost of living is about 2 to 3%. So you got to make 4 to 6% just to break even these days. And if you become an expert and start teaching people how to do that, how to do better for themselves, you'll become the expert and they'll want to invest in your deals. So that's very important. And I know I got a tangent a little bit with that, but I'm so glad you said that. Let me do this. Let me try to give you control here, Greg. And then to share your screen, you're going to go on the bottom and you'll see an arrow that says, you see on the bottom, you have it on the bottom that says share screen. Yeah. Let me make, do you want to change the host to Greg? I'm going to make you the host and you should be able to share your screen. You should see a green arrow.
I'm pressing, okay, so I can share that now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So. I still want to see you guys. I see now.
Guys, if you have questions, just feel free to ask. So let's talk about a little bit about what you're sharing here.
Well, this is not.
You just got rid of your screen, I think.
Did I?
Yeah, bring that back up.
Move it so that you guys can see it. Can you see it now? Okay, hold on. You share. It should be. Can you see my screen or no?
No. Let's go here. Maybe 1 second here. You had it shared, but oh, there we go. I think you got it now.
All right. How about this?
Don't worry about seeing. All you gotta do is see your screen, and then.
You see it now?
Yep. City of Philadelphia. Okay, so explain what you have here and what you're doing.
So right now, this is where you could actually go down to the actual recorder of deeds and see they have computers down there and people behind the desk that could help you with it. Uh-huh. But this is actually the same thing, but you pay for this.
And what site are you on now?
This is epay.phila-records.com.
Okay. And what does this show people?
All right. So this is, I'm just going to kind of walk you through it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So whenever I want to let's say I want to find a buyer in the area or investor in the area or even private money. I kind of go through the same thing, but I do it a little differently for finding buyers in the area.
And buyers might become private lenders too, so that's important.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of times if we went down that road, the buyers are sometimes gatekeepers to other private money lenders and or will partner with their lender if it's someone they already have that kind of relationship with to do a deal with you.
Right.
So, you can see that when you start digging through the records, So I'll go here and this is hit the mortgage tab, okay? And then when I hit the mortgage tab, I'll come down and I'll look up maybe a 3-month period, maybe a 1-month period. It depends on how I want to do my marketing or what I'm looking for. Because your investors will tell you ahead of time. They'll say, because you should be in contact with them. So they'll say, hey, I'm thinking about doing a deal somewhere else. And you're like, you got to be cool with that. Like, okay, cool. If you want to do that, that's fine. Because it might be they might want to get into another type of deal. As long as you're giving them a good interest rate, they're usually pretty good. But sometimes they want to, if they have their own money versus money that's sitting in an IRA, it's a little different because it's the cash they have is their own cash versus like sitting in the IRA. It's just all they wanted to do is grow tax-free until it's time to take it out, So it's a little bit different mindset for those type of people. But long story short, so then we'll search. So I set the parameters to 4/13/2019 to 7/22/2019, and we'll search here. All right, hold on, I gotta go back in and log in.
I'm just looking to see if there's any questions here. I don't see anything. If you guys got questions for Greg, ask them, guys. This is how he finds both cash buyers, his private lenders. This is just in Philly, but you guys will have this in every market you're in. So finding private lenders, this is how you find names. I know we talk about this, we go through training, but this is how you find the names of private lenders, who's cash buyers. So he's showing cash buyers right now, and then we'll kind of focus on private lenders afterwards.
It might be a little bit too much, so we'll go to.
They just do like a couple weeks or a month or something.
Okay. So what happens here, as you can see, I'll go through it. It'll pull up like this, and then you'll see the person's name to the left as the grantor, and usually the bank will be the grantee.
Okay.
And I will just scan through until I see something that doesn't look like a bank. So this one right here says Peter Sullivan.
Right.
So we'll click on this. I hope you can see it. And then I'll click here. Now this was just the first page. So it's like, you can sit on here all day and do this. For me, I use a virtual assistant that does a lot of this. And sometimes
assistant, you could also they have scraping tools out there. You could probably have somebody write for you that will pull all this into a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I mean, I have used in the past the different companies, and I don't know if I tried to put them on the tab ahead of time, but there's a company, what's the name of it, that does it. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, that actually does
scraping.
Yeah, not just the scraping, but they actually put it together. Like that's their job. Like that's what they do. They do.
If you get that or you give it to me, I could always add it in the comments. I would love to add that for you.
Yeah. Oh, list source. Like using a list source.
Like list source does this.
Yeah. Well, they do pull up people. They're called private investors, private money investors. That's what they call them.
Through list source.
Yep, through list source. Now I'm telling you right now, for Philadelphia, I have bought lists off them, and they have been good. But they're for some reason they can't pull what they need to pull for Philadelphia County.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you bought stuff off list source for buyers, or what have you used list source for?
Uh-huh. I've bought it. I've used list source in the past for myself for sellers.
Okay. Yeah, so they do absentee owners and stuff like that. They do these different lists. There's I was actually going to look at using a company called Exact Data. So it's just figuring out what works and what doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But long story short, so I'll go through here and they'll say, you can see PWBH Holdings out here and after borrower, and Peter Sullivan's successor is the lender, right? And you can see he lent $142,000 and it's due back July 1st, 2020, right? So what we have is a spreadsheet. Let me see if I can pull it up. I have a spreadsheet where we keep track of, I just pulled up a blank one, but it's freezing on me. But we keep track of all the different things that come with borrowing money or finding the lender and when it's due and all the other stuff. So sometimes what'll happen is we'll look at sometimes the note, not just the mortgage will come up.
Right.
And if you can see the note, that's like the best thing ever, right? Because it's telling you the mortgage is just the
the note actually describes the terms of the deal, how many years, how much was borrowed, the interest rate, the points, everything about the deal, when the note is due, extension fees, late fees, stuff like that.
Yep. And that's, people don't realize that just finding the lender is like it's just one thing. It's not even like the whole thing, right? A guy comes up to you and he says, I have $1 million and I want to let people borrow it. You still got to convince him that you will do the right thing with $1 million. Like how you're going to pay it back, how trustworthy are you, how are you securing it? I mean, all that stuff is a big, big deal when you're dealing with these people and you're dealing with their livelihood. Like
sure.
You can't, I don't take this lightly at all. I don't look at it and say, oh, you know what, it's just money and that. No, I don't look at it like that. I'm dealing with someone and how they plan to feed themselves in the future.
100%. And that's why you're a great servant to this industry. And that's why I have you on there. There's 1 million people out there raising money. In fact, we just had a situation over this last week or weekend. I was away, and somebody in the industry who's teaching the business, apparently, I don't know, right or wrong, truth or, fact or fiction, but apparently they've taken money from people and not done what they're supposed to do. And we're talking about millions of dollars of people's livelihood. And that sickens me that anyone would do that to somebody and they're not take care of their money like a servant. Because I always say, like, you'll get paid back later on, but the most important thing, and it's twofold. And I did a Facebook Live yesterday, and I said, one is doing your due diligence on who you lend money to, and two is being realistic. If you want these high-end returns and you don't want to do any work, you want to be passive. And I'm doing a webinar tonight on performing notes and performing notes that I sell off, and they get 6 to 10% return on their money. And people hit me up and they're like, well, I want 15%, I want 20% for doing no work. And I said, you want to get in these deals that essentially everything's a risk, but you want to get in these deals with very, very little risk, even though there is a risk, but you don't want to do any work and you want these kind of returns. I sit back and I said, well, when you find those, let me know, because I like to invest in those too. So it's just being realistic on who you take on as a lender. So we talk about this in our training, obviously, right? Doing a lender package, showing them information about your project, your due diligence, because the most important thing is not how much money they're going to make. Usually is, am I going to get my money back? Because I could tell you're going to get 20% return on your money, but if I don't give you your money back, what does that all mean, right?
I mean, that's the good old fashioned Bernie Sanders thing, right? Because he's just paying. He would just, I'm not Bernie Sanders. It was Bernie Madoff, right? He was just paying it out, right? All these years paying it out. And when it came time to pay the principal, there was nothing left, right? And, he had so much money that could be paid out. It lasted for a long time. So you're right. You're 100% right. Right. I can offer higher than average returns, but at the same time, it's based on my business model, right? Versus someone who can offer it and it's like, well, all they're doing is renting 3-bedroom houses. And I know you're only really, the way the market is now, you're only making anywhere from 200 to 400 on top of the mortgage, taxes, expenses, everything else like that. How are you really paying out these numbers? You understand what I'm saying? So it really, I mean, I get it if you're able to buy stuff at a lower, like if you're buying stuff at 20 or 30 cents on the dollar, but those deals, you got to be moving quickly and you have to be doing a lot of them in order to be paying out how you need to pay out. And your flips have to be on point and they have to sell. They have to sell immediately. Like there's so much that goes into this business that I think that in today's time, like every other, you just hear so much stuff on the radio, come out to this training, learn how to make a millionaire, learn how to do this, learn how to do that.
I know.
And
it's a shame.
It is. It really is, because I meet a lot of people who this is their last hope, but they don't have the training or experience. Yeah, I mean, I met Dan going to a meeting to learn how to raise capital, and I had already raised money. It wasn't like my first time raising money was meeting with Dan. It was I want to be, what is this one? What's one or two things I need to remember or lock into that I don't remember or I'm not implementing correctly now to make me better for my investors? Because
I hope you got that out of the training.
Yeah, no, definitely. We dug into it. I mean, like even what you said in the very beginning about the Coverdales and the medical and the HSA and all those things are like, people think that the only thing you're using is just your self-directed IRA. And there's all these other things that you should be putting money into, right? That can grow tax-free. Because the reality is when you go work your regular job for 30 years, right? You go work your regular 9 to 5 for 30 years.
Right.
The whole point is for you to one day be retired, right? And then be able to do what you want to do.
Exactly.
How do you expect to do that if you're not learning how to grow your money tax-free in these government-sanctioned accounts that allow you to do it?
Well, that's what or your billionaires and the people that make fun of people like the Trump. I don't even pill politics, but all these very wealthy people, like Mitt Romney. Look at his self-directed IRA. Look how much money he has in self-directed IRA. But that's beating a dead horse at this point. I think people know, and unfortunately, this is not put out there in public. It's not put out there in the schools, but we do have a comment and question. Mark Penn, it was great seeing you on here, Mark. Mark's a great guy in the industry. Does a lot of the stuff with notes, finance, and he's had great training. Dan and Gregory, exactly what all these newbies need to hear. Yes, definitely. You definitely do need to hear this. You need to hear how to raise money the right way. If you're going to raise money, you need to be a servant for people's money. Don't just go out there, listen to a guru, and go out there and start raising money, putting them in deals that you don't even know how to handle, because you need to serve those people and their money more importantly than your own. Just keep that up. Then Vernon asked this question. Thanks, Vernon. It's good seeing you on, buddy. When you secure a private investor, do you start a new LLC with just that investor, or do you keep one LLC for all your deals? I'll answer this as well, but Greg, when you secure a private investor, Greg, do you start a new LLC with that investor, or do you keep one LLC for all your deals?
So it's like I've done it where there's been multiple properties. I don't try to do more than 3 in an LLC. Nowadays, I just start a new LLC or do a trust into an LLC. LLC into a trust. But I don't have a problem with that because I do make sure I get an insurance policy to make sure everyone's covered as far as if something happens on that end. When we're talking about their money, and what's being covered under their money, I want to make sure that they have everything in place so if something happens with the property. Now, right now, it doesn't cost that much So one of the great things about raising your own capital is that you're saving money versus going with a broker or with a hard money lender or with the bank. Now, it also comes down to what your strategy is. My strategy is to refinance within a year anyway. So I'm not looking at it from the point of view of, am I holding on to this investor for the next 30 years? That's a different question than if I'm, hey, I borrowed 100,000, I'm going to do this, rehab it, rent it out. Now I'm going to refinance it. And then when I give you back your 100,000, is it okay if I use it again? And if that's the answer, then it's a different thing than, hey, I just want to get $800 a month for the next 20 years. Can we do a deal like that? And I'm like, okay, yeah, we can figure something out. So there's just two different ways to look at it from my point of view. But
and I like that you customize it. And that's when people ask me too. They say, well, how do you pay? You pay monthly, weekly, quarterly, annually at the end. And I always say, all depends. And you don't learn that when I train people on how to raise private money. In our training, we talk about, our second and third meeting with people, not our first meeting. Our first meeting, we go through our program. And we have our second meeting. If you remember, we spoke about it's a more one-on-one personal meeting and goals and seeing your vision, see if we can hit that. Then on a third meeting, we kind of present you with a deal. So that's really good. Vernon, just so you know what I do, because I'm going to answer this as well for you. I want to get two sides of it. I raise capital depending on how I do it. If it's a one-on-one deal, I raise capital depending on if it's I buy an LLC or an S Corp, that's how the promissory note will be written to me. If I do it on like a multifamily or a big deal, a big acquisition, I have done 3 private placement memorandums. Those are different. There's an offering. We follow SEC rules and regulations, and depending whether it's credit or not. What's out there, I'll tell you what's out there now. You could either a one-off deal. So you will lend my LLC money to buy a property to rehab it. So I wouldn't do a different LLC. The only time I would do a different LLC, and I've done this one time before, I had 10 investors. We all were responsible for raising $500,000. And we took down a Fannie Freddie pool of non-performing notes, a little over $5 million. And we all owned a piece of the LLC. So my S Corp owned a piece of that LLC. So I hope that helps. I don't think you need to do another LLC for every one of your deals. I think that's cumbersome. And there's no reason legally to have to do that. But you want to check with your attorney and accountant on all this stuff. Don't take what I'm, once again, trust and verify. I'm telling you what I do. But if you have a deal, if you find the property and you buy that property in your LLC will sign that promissory note, the mortgage. I don't know what paperwork your lender requires. I know what I require and why my notes are so powerful is because we require the 5, the mortgage, the note, the personal guarantee, confession of judgment, and assignment of rent. And if people aren't willing to do that, we don't even get involved in lending. And that's just the way we are. Is why? It's because we also raise capital and we want to protect our investors that way. So we want to tell investors, your worst case scenario, somebody pays you back. Should they not pay you back, you're getting a property worth, let's say, $70,000, $80,000, and you only lent 40 or 50. So that's what we do. We have another question from Ra. Thanks so much, Rasheen. What type of insurance policy? Greg, I'm sure he's asking what kind of insurance policy, probably for the property and possibly for the lender. So, Greg, you want to answer that real quick?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. The only other one I have for whatever my notes are, I up my life insurance. So I make sure my life insurance is able to pay off any notes. Like if I die tomorrow, there's maybe 2 other people that I met that I would personally be like, hey, if you still want to rent by the room, call these people. Other than that, I'm sorry I'm dead. Here's your money. That's about it. You know what I mean? I know it sounds a little morbid, but that's a big deal, I think, because I don't know what the future holds, but I don't want you to be mad at me because I passed away in an untimely manner and now your money's stuck in a deal, right? So I'd rather just have that life insurance policy. Of course, we have the property insurance to protect them in case something happens.
And I'm sure you put the lender's name as mortgagee clause.
We wouldn't do a deal without. Yes, 100%. Like they're right on there. they're going to get paid before I get paid. That's how it should be.
Yep. And that's the problem that most people don't think of. And I'm so glad, Rob, I'm so glad you asked that question, because in my trainings, when I go out there and I teach, I go in and I do role play. And the first thing I ask them is, and as more as it sounds, I says, what happens when you get hit by a truck? Because I love you. And if you're married, I just, I don't know if your wife or your vice versa, or if your husband is somebody I want to partner with. But how am I protected? And, I could tell you over 90% of people that have asked me for money can't answer me that question, that ask me to borrow money. They can't answer how I'm protected when the crap hits the fan. Okay. That's a great question you asked. If you're lending money out there, if you're an investor lending money, you want to make sure you have an insurance policy with your name listed on the policy as a mortgagee clause. And I'll tell you this, after many, many years and many, many deals, sometimes this is what happens. They just don't care. Your lenders just don't care. I mean, it gets to the point where they have so much trust in you, like they'll let you write your own checks. It's crazy. It sounds crazy, but that's kind of how it gets. But you got to build that. Everyone wants that day one. But that's a great question. And even better is the answer that Greg gave, that he has the insurance policy. He has a life insurance policy that will cover all his debt. So you're literally covered as much as you could possibly be covered. There is no such thing as guaranteed returns. If somebody tells you once, and I say this all the time, and it probably hurts me from raising money because people are like, well, the other guy told me I can get guaranteed returns. And I'd rather not take your money because I don't want to be put in that situation. If someone guarantees you anything, run, don't walk. Run as fast as you could. There's no guarantee in anything here. The guarantee is that I'm going to do my due diligence the best I possibly could. I'm going to mitigate the risk as best I possibly could, but I can't stop anything. Now, with that being said, I've never lost a dollar for an investor. I've lost my own money more than I care to share, but I've never lost a dollar for an investor. And because I make sure I put them in deals where I'm going to make sure they get paid back first. Now, I've been in deals as well, and I'm sure you probably have, Greg. If not, you will be, where an investor got their money back plus interest, but I didn't make anything.
Yeah. I would rather that. I would rather that than not pay my lenders back. I would rather that. And people don't get that because they're like, everybody looks at it, I guess maybe they're more selfish. I don't know what that is, right? But if I ask someone to take a risk on me, I'm betting on myself, which is fine. But if I ask Dan to bet on me too, his money is way more valuable than my money. Like, I'm going to make money. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to make it back. That's just the business we're in. But I don't want my lenders to be thinking to themselves, well, Dad, did we make the wrong move with him? No, you didn't make the wrong move. I'm going to take the heat. And that's why we look at deals. That's exactly why I look at deals at 65 to 70% of ARV. I want to be all in at 65 to 70%. I don't want to be all in at 85, 90%. I want to be that if the market takes a turn for the worse, even though I'm a cash flow investor, they still won't take a loss. The investor should not have to worry about taking a loss. That's my point in all that.
That's excellent stuff. Okay, let's go back into here and show us. You showed us kind of how you find a lender now, right? I know you were going to show us, I think, was a cash buyer. Were you going to show us as well?
You know what's funny about that is it's kind of on the same wavelength. So you're looking for you're still looking for hold on a second. You're still looking for the guy who's borrowed the money on the other side of the deal. You know what I mean? So 1 second. But I was actually going to take you guys somewhere different.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's take us there. Let's go on a little road trip.
It's another public. I thought I queued it up, but Pennsylvania. There, and then we'll go to Philadelphia. And I wanted to kind of show you something that has it's worked for me in the past. It's going to. Not family court. Hold on, I had it queued up, but it's not coming. Please, where is it at? Municipal court. No, I can't. Where's it at? I'm sorry, Dan. Give me. I don't know why I can't find this. I just was on it. So it's might be common pleas, but I don't think it is. Let me see. So really, I was going to take you to where I look up like the evictions, right? And the reason why I was going to do that is because people who are evicting other people are property owners. This is not it. I had it pulled up earlier and now I can't find it.
So those are your motivated sellers.
They're both motivated sellers and buyers. That's right. How I look at them, because they're people in a certain area that they're people in a certain area that are looking to either offload their properties or I don't know why I can't find it. I was just on it this morning. Oh, maybe this is it. Hold on.
Is it the FJDclaims.phil.gov?
Where do you see it on my screen?
No, I just happen to have it in the past, and I think that I'm just looking up, doing a search of mine, and I'm seeing the municipal court, Philadelphia Municipal Court.
That might be it.
Let's see there. You go. Make sure that's in your page.
Let's see. I have it on my phone. Okay. Is this one? Yeah, I think that's it. You got it.
Because I had it in my. Remember, years ago, I used to do stuff in Philly.
Yeah, it's funny because I know it was on, I was looking at it this morning on my phone and I went to it and I was there this morning. So I was just gonna, yeah. All right. I'm gonna try to log in here. And then when you come in here, you can go here. And what I do is I will just I'll put like one letter in. I might just put like the letter F in, right? And then I'll look back maybe a month. So 119, and then let's go to 713, because you can't look it up according to like an address or a block or anything else like that. And it's a little bit more tedious, but
virtual assistants.
Yeah, and listen, I'm being honest. You're paying I know it sounds crazy, but you're paying people in the Philippines $2 or $3 an hour to just do research.
And that's all you need for it, because your time is worth a lot more than $2 to $3 an hour.
Yeah, and to compile the list. And then once you're going through here, right here you go, and it says case type, and I put landlord tenant. And that's another place where you find people that listen, if you see someone that's been going to court a bunch of times, I can tell you one thing, they're tired of going to court. They're not going to be going to court a whole bunch of times. And when you're first starting off, I know how it was for me. When I was first starting off, I just wanted to own something. I just wanted to buy something. Like I wanted to tell people I bought this or I own this. You know, it was one of those pride things, maybe. I don't know. And then when you get deeper into what you do on a regular basis, right? Um, when you get deeper into what you do on a regular basis, it's not just a pride thing. It's more like finding your purpose. And then if you feel like your purpose is to own bigger things or a certain type of thing, certain type of property, or maybe ground up construction, or there's so many things you could do in real estate, or lease options, or maybe even teaching and training, like what Dan does. Like that's a really big deal. Like to be able to train people about what they do in real estate, raising capital, putting the notes is a big thing. Non-performing notes, performing notes, secondary, like all this stuff is big businesses. But you don't know anything about it when you first start in this business, and you don't really have anyone that tells you about it or trains you on it. And then once you get in it and you start meeting people such as Dan, they can really open your eyes to doing those type of deals where you can make a lot of money. So, that's about it.
This is pretty good stuff right here, guys. I appreciate you showing this to them. This is important because a lot of people ask, hey, how do you do this? How do you find deals? How do you find lenders? How do you find cash buyers? And I think for the 2 sites that you've given people already, you just spelled it out here for people. Now it's, now they got to take action here and actually go out and you're going to find these people. Now you have to market to them. Now you have to build a relationship, build a rapport. But, I hear so many people say they can't get money. They can't find deals. They can't find cash buyers. How do you do it? And, I think we just went to 2 sites and possibly 3 sites. Yeah, the other one you were looking for, but that you were able to log on here. We see the defendants. We see the plaintiff in here. The plaintiff might be really ready to sell, Yeah. It's
another thing when you can always use Craigslist. That's what I was going to say. So a lot of times when you say you find you got something in the area, you want to still search on Craigslist in the rentals ones and look for and search certain areas for people who are renting out in those areas. If you find somebody like me and I'm posted on Craigslist that I have something available, and then you have something for sale in the same area, whether it be West Philadelphia or wherever, I'm going to be looking to purchase that from you. I'm going to be a buyer in that area because usually sometimes they have 1 or 2 properties, but trust me when I tell you, there are companies and people who started companies where their whole benefit is to rent out properties. So,
all right, cool. Well, I think there's a lot of information. I know you're busy, so I don't want to keep you much longer. We're already past our hour, but do you have any final remarks here? You could change if you know how to change it back to me. You could change it back to me.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll change it back.
See your faces and stuff like that.
What do I go to more and what?
Yeah, just change. 1 second. Yeah, stop share screen. Hold on a second. Let's see here. But while you're doing that, do you have anything else that you want to share with the group or?
I think one of the biggest things that I think sometimes they talk about it right now, but it's finding the right mentor and listening to the right mentor. So a lot of times people don't put 100% in, even though the guy who's been where you want to be is telling you what to do, what exactly to do. And I would give, anyone who's listening, I say, figure out where you want to be, find the right person that's going to help you get there and listen to them. Really listen.
Because this is going to go out to probably over 100,000 people in our email list. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people. Hey, Greg, can I buy you coffee, pick your brain? Can I get on the phone with you? Can I do this and I do that? And I don't know if you're getting that because you're starting to make some big strides in the industry and people are going to start reaching out to you if they haven't already. I'm sure they have. But I know what I tell people that, you're out there, you're not charging people. I don't think you're charging for education right now. but your time is very valuable. And that's, we just said that your time is spent finding deals, getting the rooms ready, renting them out. So it's very important not to waste somebody's time. And I would say this to people: if you want to mentor, if you want to learn what Greg's doing, you're in that Philly region right now, you want to hook up with Greg, please don't do this. Don't pick up the phone and call and say, "Can I buy you coffee?" and pick your brain, because you just devalued his time. It's worth a 90-cent cup of coffee. If you really don't have the money to pay Greg, right, for his time, and I don't even know what it's worth, but this is what I would do. I would say, Greg, listen, I would love to learn from you. How much would you charge me to come with you for a day or two? That's how you start. Or if you definitely don't have the money, bring value, let me go here. Bring value to Greg and say, hey, Greg, I want to learn this. I don't have money, but I want to work for you for free. I want to go out and find you properties. I want to go out and find you money. I want to go out and help you manage these properties so I can learn for free. That's the missing art right now. And I'm sure, Greg, if somebody came to you with something like that and brought value, they give to get, you'd probably be a lot more willing, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a guy named Aldo in his 20s. And we've been doing deals. Like we have a deal we've been doing deals. I'm not going to mention deals. We've just been doing deals, ongoing deals. And he came to me and kind of like, I had met him at one of the, and like, hey, Greg, what do I need to do? I'm not sure. And then what ended up happening is we just partnered on deals, right? And it's one of those weird things. I didn't want to do it. I'm not like, I wanted to do it. What happened was I don't do wholesaling, and he wanted to learn how to wholesale. Well, he wanted to learn how to find properties, right? And the best way to find properties is through wholesaling activities, whether it be door knocking, flyers, cold calls, all the things that they do. So we ended up going into a situation where he learned how to do it. But the reason why I did it is because he had already said, I'm willing to dedicate 20 hours a week just to this. Right. And then he did it. And I met other people, and they just didn't dedicate the time. They wouldn't. It's not even for my sake. It's for your own sake. You're not going to give yourself 20 hours a week to get yourself to the next level. But so you want me.
Yeah, I'm saying that because a lot of people after this are probably going to hit you up over the next couple of weeks. And if they're in that area, or they just want to get on the phone with you. And I'm just telling them, like, don't present Greg and say, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Or, hey, can I just get on a call and pick your brain? Offer to pay him for his time if you're not in the area, or get on the phone or say, listen, what can I do to help bring value to you? And then maybe Greg will take you serious, because the only thing we have in life is our time, guys. And we're running I'm just not an educator. In fact, I educate very little now. I'm so busy in my business that's why I don't do live classes on raising private money. It's all online training. I did Greg actually was at one of my last classes. For that reason alone, because I'm too busy in the business to just be an educator. The reason I educate is because I feel like it's my duty, and it's selfish if I don't give back. And yes, I do get paid for it. Yes, my time is worth money, and I'm not sorry about that. I have 29 years experience. I've learned the right way and the wrong way, and I just don't want to deal with people that don't value themselves or believe in themselves enough to invest in themselves. So that's pretty hardcore with me. And I could see Greg is me many years ago, and he's coming through the ranks really hard and fast. And I can see people hitting him up like crazy, especially after this, saying, hey, can I pick your brain? And just not. And the problem is, and I could tell from Greg, he would actually sit with you and work with you for nothing if he knew you could actually do the work. But the problem is, most people don't do it. I don't care what the situation is, because it's going to be hard. You're going to get knocked down many times. You just got to get back up. And that's the only reason Greg's sitting here right now, is because he's been knocked down plenty of times and got back up. But he's in a situation now where he could probably do any deal he wants to do, because he's got lenders behind him and people see he's an expert in his industry.
Yeah.
So with that, I appreciate it, Greg. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, obviously, don't call him. What's the best way to get you? Is it email? Is it Facebook Messenger? What's the best way?
Facebook Messenger is great. I think I don't know if my email was up there, but I'll send it to you. I wouldn't, you know what? I wouldn't even email. Just Facebook Messenger me. That's what we're on right now. I mean, I get a million emails, which have to do with just running the business. You know what I mean? Like, so I'd rather you Facebook Messenger. I'm gonna be doing some stuff on YouTube soon, as far as just putting out some videos talking about what I do and how I do it, and I just want to see. I think Dan hit it right on the nose. If everybody that came and had coffee with me put the work and effort in, I would have coffee forever with everyone, because I would know that there would be some result that came from it. But a lot of times people don't put the work and effort in. And that's what drives me crazy, because I want to see you be more successful than what you want to see yourself be. And it should be the other way around. You should be waking up every morning saying, how can I take myself to the next level? How can I fulfill my own potential? And I don't see that as often as I would like to see.
Well, with that, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time taking it out to really, share without anything in return. You're willing to share.
Dan, I appreciate it.
And I appreciate that. And I love what you're doing. I really do. I love the trajectory you're on. And I can't wait to see greater things from you, and you being on the big stage, speaking soon, and just changing one life at a time. And you're doing great. And it's definitely noticed. It's definitely noticed of what you're doing. So I appreciate that. And with that, just stay on the page. People ask questions. I appreciate you answering them for them. And if you guys need anything else, just hit us up on the page. I'll go on there after this, answer some questions. And I love you all for being here. Share this group out. It is an organic group. We do not take paid ads from anybody. We've already been offered almost $1,500 between right now 3 companies. I could actually make $1,500 a month just posting ads on this page. I do not post ads on here. The only thing I'm asking you is, like one of my mentors, Andy Rosella, is just to share this with people that you think it would help. I spend all week deleting posts on here that are scam posts, people asking for money, people offering money. If I don't know them or I haven't seen the deals and I don't vet them, you will not see them, because I'm going to protect this group like it's my own kids. There's too many groups out there that are out there scamming people or allowing it just to make money and building. I mean, I could build this group to hundreds of thousands of people if I truly wanted to, but it would be done the wrong way. So we're organically growing. I don't know. I think we're at 1,500 people without paying for an ad. And I want to see this group by the end of this year get to over 20,000 people organically, people that give back, like Greg's giving back, people that ask questions, people that help others in the industry. And, that's the kind of mindset we want in this group. How do we help each other get to the next level? So with that, I love you all. Thanks so much for being here. Greg, you'll probably have to X us out because you didn't give me back control. So
I don't know how.
you can shut this down, and see you guys soon. Take care.
Stop shit. Did I do it?
Let me see it.
I tried to. You guys are still on my page, though.
I just X out of there. You'll be good. Are you still there?
Yeah, I tried to. I guess it's just. Yeah, I'm about. Can you hear it? It's just me and you, I guess, right?
I don't know. Just X out of it. You'll be good.
All right, let me.
We can't run a Zoom thing.
Okay, hold on. I want it. Okay, in meeting. Okay.
I'm leaving it now. So.
Okay. I don't know how.